Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to talk to our leaders, and today I'm joined in by Chip Neubar, and welcome to the show, Chip.
Thank you.
And as always, we ask interesting points of view and discussions, and let's start the discussion with a bit of your introduction and a background, if you may start with.
Yeah, sure. So Chip Neubar. I've been with OpenText for 24 years, but I've been in the technology industry for 30 years, which saying that makes me feel a bit old. Primarily at OpenText, I've spent the majority of my time in the enterprise content space. Most recently, I moved over to run the cybersecurity BU globally. But I started as an account executive, and over the last 16 years, I've held various leadership roles.
Interesting. And you spoke about content management. Do you want to talk about what is one thing most important about content management?
Yeah. So content management is, I guess I'd say it's a bit misunderstood, or maybe not well understood, would be a better way to say it. With content, there's the risk side of the equation, and then there's the opportunity side of the equation. On the risk side of the equation, you have to comply with regulations, you have to protect your IP, you have to protect PII, which is personal identifiable information. On the opportunity side, you can involve content in workflow so that you have the right information at the right time to make the best decisions. So really, it's a risk. There's a risk side of the equation, and a lot of opportunity for automation as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think. And now you said you are in now cybersecurity. So, do you want to know how does that both relate to content management to cybersecurity?
Sure. Well, if security is the last thing you think of in terms of your content strategy, then recovery and not prevention will end up being your strategy. But in reality, you should have a hand-in-glove relationship between content and security. If you think about how Wall Street values companies today, right, they largely value companies on their IP. 50 years ago, they would value companies primarily based on their physical assets. Today, it's on their IP. External threat actors know this, and that's why we see an uptick in them actually pursuing information versus infrastructure.
Interesting. And one of the products that OpenText has is OpenText Core Threat Detection and Response. So what's the big picture? How do you see that product fitting into the larger scope of things?
Sure. Core OpenText Threat Detection and Response, or TDR, is an AI-driven platform that helps organizations identify threats and be able to respond to them quickly. The system looks at behavioral data and understands what would be a normal baseline for users. Then it spots anomalies and triangulates those anomalies with other data points to really figure out what's a risk and what's not a risk, and then surface that to the security team.
Interesting. And as you said, AI is also a big part of modern cybersecurity. And so how does this solution use AI to improve threat detection and response?
Yeah, so the platform has hundreds of AI algorithms, and the AI algorithms are continually monitoring the network, looking at behavioral data, analyzing, learning, updating, and it's really a departure from traditional systems, where traditional systems were rules-based, and the rules really only as good as the written rule at the time it was written. So 6 months from now, the rule's probably out of date. And since we're using AI, our system is really self-updating. So you can be assured that the system is always up to date with the latest threats to keep you secure.
Yeah, that's really going ahead of the threat. I also want to talk about how does this integrate with Microsoft products. You want to talk about, and how does that help the organizations?
Sure. So, again, I've been at OpenText a long time, right? In our content business, we really focused on integrations, right? So we wanted to allow users to work in the applications they work in, but seamlessly provide them with content services behind the scenes. One of the integrations that we started with was with SAP. That evolved into a $1 billion relationship. And really in that relationship, it was revolving around allowing ERP users to work in the interface they work in, but then surface the information to them so they can make the right decisions at the right time. In security, we're taking the same approach, right? So with the Microsoft stack, we're integrating with the Microsoft stack, which gives us additional data sources, right? So we have our data sources, we're ingesting their data sources, we're getting a richer data source that we're running our algorithms against. We also integrate with other solutions as well. But the net, because of the integration and the enriching of the data sources, we're able to give the security team a much more holistic and accurate picture of the security profile. And we also integrate with Security Copilot. So from an end user perspective, they can use the same Microsoft tools they use, but in the background, OpenText is powering those results.
Wow, I think that's like a win-win for both. I think that's very interesting. Thanks for. And you're also talking to a lot of security leaders and insider threats, right? That's growing. So how does that solution detect and prevent?
Yeah, so insider threats can be tricky because they come from within the firewall. We've developed what we call an adaptive learning technology, again using AI. So the system is self-learning, continuously looking at how users interact with the system, right? What data they use, what systems they use, and how that data moves through the organization. It can establish a baseline, and then when users deviate from that baseline is when triggers are triggered. This piece of our technology really is a differentiator. Our customers have told us that our technology is able to discover things that our competitors simply can't.
Yeah, I think you touched upon the adaptive learning as the system is learning. So does that improve the accuracy over a period of time? Is that something that the system learns it?
It does. It does. And maybe an analogy. This might be it's maybe an older analogy, but if you think about OCR technology, in the beginning, OCR had a very low recognition capability. It wasn't very good. Over time, it got better and better. But with AI, and what we can do with AI now, and the adaptive learning tools, right? The system becomes self-learning. It triangulates with their data points, and over time, it just gets smarter and smarter and smarter. It kind of makes you feel like the age of the robots, in a sense, because the system becomes almost like a living, growing thing that gets smarter and smarter. We're really excited about the technology, and we think it's going to have a big impact for our customers.
Yeah, that's. Thank you for breaking down different aspects of cybersecurity, and as you continue to work with the customers, we hope we get to hear more what customers are. And thank you for tuning in, Chip, and thanks for the.
It's been great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thank you.